Hey, what's up? My name is PJ, and in this video we are doing the results of Raw Edit Challenge number 5. Hope you enjoy. Okay, thank you all so much for your submissions. I think we had, let me just check, 22 submissions this week, which was excellent, including a lot of new names and faces that I was not aware of. So thank you guys who are only just now jumping aboard, whether you've been following along for a long time or you're just new this week. I really appreciate it. Love to see those new names come in. Thank you so much. So there's one thing that I'll say straight up, and it's that I was not clear enough with my instructions on how to export, because I think a lot of people got really confused, and I ended up with a few different submissions that were just tiny little thumbnails, and I think I know where you guys went wrong. So I'm just going to show you straight up. If I just right click this little icon on the film strip and click export, the only thing you need to change about how you normally export is this bit that says resolution right here, pixels per inch. Resolution, change that to 72. Don't even worry about the image sizing. If you like, I usually, if it's for web, I limit my file size to 3000 kilobytes, but it doesn't really matter. All you got to change is the resolution, and that'll make my life a whole lot easier, because yeah, like I said, a few people sent me tiny little thumbnails that I couldn't even download, and a few people sent me like 15-20 megabyte files, which was kind of the point of what we were trying to avoid. But anyway, it's definitely my fault for not being clear enough. So for next time, now you guys know everything is the same. Do your name the same way and everything. Don't worry about the image sizing. Don't have to change that. Don't have to make that smaller. All you need to worry about is resolution. Change it to 72 and the file size will be nice and small. Cool. Now that we've got that out of the way, this is where we started with the photo. As you can see, it's very pink. It's kind of blown out in some areas. By no means a super special photo. Like I said in the challenge, it's not going to win any awards, but a fun one to edit, a fun one to correct. So let's start over here from the start. So like I mentioned, only the first 15 entries are going to feature in the video. I have all the other entries here. I might just skim over them quickly, but only the first 15, and it took 2 days. 2 days to get those 15 entries. So thank you so much for everyone that hustled to get them in. For the rest of you guys, I really appreciate your entries, but unfortunately, there's just not enough time in one video to do justice to all of them. So here we go. First one is Jasmine Geo from Malaysia. I'm not sure what boop edit means, but anyway, that's what the file name was. And I can't zoom in on this one. But regardless, it looks good, Jasmine. Very clean. You've definitely fixed up the pink tones. You've made it look, this is probably much closer to how it actually looks in person when you go to this sort of show. Still some bright highlights there, but the skin tones are definitely a lot more true to how they look under the pink lights, and you've definitely rescued it from where it was. So yep, good job. Nice, simple, fairly clean edit. Thanks, Jasmine. Next one is Michael Hancock from North Carolina, I believe. Michael, yeah, you've done a good job, man. It's like I've sort of mentioned in the past, it's one of those real gritty, detailed edits. You've definitely taken out all the pink from the skin tones, which I love. They're looking a little on the blue side, but definitely a lot more natural to what they were. I think you've done generally a very good job, my friend. Yeah, I can't fault that. Nice edit, Michael. Very good job. Next one, Travis Massengill. I can tell straight away from looking at this that Travis is a portrait photographer, because when I zoom in, there is definitely some noise reduction. Everything looks very smooth. I think we have lost a bit of detail in the face because of it. One thing that I'll say is, and I get this comment on a couple of my videos, but how do you shoot at ISO 5000 and have such little noise? And the true answer is, it doesn't really matter about the noise in these sort of photos, because it is, the noise is just there. That's what it is. You can do a little bit of noise reduction, but in general, it doesn't really matter, because it's a dark, kind of dirty, it's really bright, it's really dark, it's part of the photo. The noise is part of the photo, and if anything, it adds to it. So I wouldn't worry too much. But like I said, Travis is definitely a portrait photographer. He's cleaned that up. He's taken the saturation out of the pinks, and it's definitely it's much more natural to what it was. So good, nice skin softening there, Travis. Pretty clean edit, and it's definitely different to all the other ones. Thank you once again for your submission. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure Travis doesn't live too far from this venue in Texas. This one, Brandon Lung. So Brandon is... I've been following your stuff on Instagram a lot lately, Brandon. Your photos are terrific. It's obviously harder to edit when you didn't take them, but you always have so much color in your edits, and it's so different to what everyone else does. I feel like every other person does that sort of visco muted tones type of deal, but you've always got so much color, so much pop. You've taken the pinks out. Okay, maybe not as much color in the skin as I'm used to seeing with you, but it's definitely a much more natural look. I love the bright greens. There's maybe some desaturation in the blues. Really beautiful, clean, nice edit, man. I can definitely tell from looking at this that you're a music photographer. Next one is Tennille. I can't remember where Tennille's from. I think Melbourne. Very gritty, detailed edit. If it was me, let me just do up my brightness. If it was me, I would want a little more exposure out of this, just because I think we're losing a lot of the blacks. But I do prefer nice deep blacks to washed out, crushed blacks. So I think this is really good, and it's definitely unique. It's something that you don't see a whole lot in music photos these days. It's pretty old school, but I like the edit, and for something different, it's really good. Lots of detail. See how the noise is still in this photo. Close up, it's totally fine. You know, it's noisy, but it adds to it. I like that you didn't take the noise out. I like that there's lots of detail. So good job, Tennille. Rui Marquez. Rui is from Portugal, I believe. My first Portuguese watcher, viewer. Thank you so much for the submission, man. I like that this is brighter than a lot of the other ones, because I like to shoot and edit more bright personally. I just think it's, for my style, it's more visually appealing. There is maybe some bits blown out still, but you know, it is what it is. That's how the photo was shot. Still very detailed. Yep, nice vibrant colors. I like the blue tones and the greens. Skin looks fairly natural. I can't fault that, man. That's a really nice edit. Very good job. Ruby Boland from Ulladulla. Actually kind of similar to Ruiz in that it's a lot brighter than the others. Blacks are a bit crushed for that sort of visco film emulation kind of look. Highlights are a little blown out. If it was me, I would have pulled those back a little bit, but I still really like the edit, and it really suits that film spur of the moment, capture what was there vibe, and what was there was those highlights were very bright. So I love it, Ruby. I can't fault that at all. Meera Khada. Meera is from Melbourne. This is similar to one of the early ones we saw. Again, it's what the scene looked like there. The highlights still kind of blown out, but the skin tones are much more natural, and I feel like this is what you would perceive with the human eye. So it's very realistic, simple, it's fairly clean, it's still nice and sharp. I can't zoom in too much further, but nice neutral skin tones, and obviously taking some saturation out of the blues, out of the pinks, still some nice vibrant greens, and yeah, good job, Mary. Very nice job. Florian CuNi. I'm pretty sure I butcher your name every time, Flo, but you always do a really good job with your edits. From Switzerland. Florian is from Switzerland, I'm pretty sure. You definitely have a unique style, Florian. Lots of detail. I don't even know how else to describe it. It's gritty, but it's clean at the same time. It's a much smoother grit than a lot of the other ones. I think you really nail your dynamic range. The blacks aren't too black. The highlights aren't too high, or even when they are, the gradient between the highlights and the shadows is just nice. It's natural. So I'm always a big fan of your edits, Flo. Thank you once again for your submission, all the way from snowy Switzerland. Kien Marangos, Kien, looks like you've changed the crop. So definitely give you extra points for that. I love the skin tones. I like a bit of a brighter photo, but these skin tones are so natural. Like Kyle, who's the singer in this band, he has quite olive skin, and I definitely think you've done justice considering just how pink the photo was to begin with. So you've really nailed the skin tones. Looks like there's some of the pink highlights have been changed to purple or something. Some desaturation in the pinks, obviously, but still color where it needs to be. I like the blues, I like the greens, and like I said, the skin is very natural. Kien, I think you did a great job, my man. Let's see who's next. Ashley Naden from Derby in the UK. Ashley, you are always thinking outside the box with these edits. Similar to Travis's, I can see that you're a portrait photographer just by the way that you smooth out the skin. The crop is interesting, obviously draws a lot of attention to Kyle here. It looks like this stuff was deliberately shot in the foreground, which I can assure you that it wasn't. I was focusing here on Kyle on one side of the frame, but you really made the composition interesting. You've made it much more interesting than it was, in my opinion, so I really like it. The skin tones are still kind of pink, but I think it works. Good job, man. Anthony Grande. Anthony, you're also very consistent with your edits, which I love. I've mentioned this in the past, but similar to Andrew Bromley, I think you guys have that real American like Warped Tour style of photo editing. I can't zoom in anymore, but I think it's really nice. Crushed blacks, but it works for that film emulation visco type of look. Yeah, good dynamic range. I guess that's from the crushed blacks. The blacks don't look too black, and yeah, there's just nice distance between the tones. Skin tones are pretty natural, even though they're quite blown out at some points. They're still pretty natural, and I like where the blue tones are. I think that's a really interesting blue color as well. I think you did a good job, man. Great. Thanks for the submission once again. Andrew Bromley, and I was just comparing Andy's photos to Anthony, so kind of similar in a way. I think Anthony's gone for more of a yellow tint in the skin, whereas Andy's got the magenta happening. Possibly split tones because it's looking like the shadows are kind of blue. Yeah, a lot more magenta in the skin than yellow or green, but it works. You've been so consistent with your edits, man. You've found a style and you've stuck to it, and I definitely can't fault you for that. Still lots of detail by the look of it. Yep, very cool edit. Love your work, man. Always loved seeing your submissions, and Andy's usually one of the first as well, so thanks, buddy. Elaine Torres, I'm hoping I said that right. It might be Alan To from Mexico, actually. I'm going to say, I don't know. I'm going to say Elaine. Thank you so much, my friend. This is so different to all the other ones. It looks like, I don't think it's a black and white, but it's highly desaturated, and it's definitely split tones because the highlights have that sort of yellowy, browny tints to them. Very detailed. You've exported it perfectly. The file size is really good. And yeah, I think you've probably darkened around the edges as well, because there seems to be a lot of focus here on Kyle. And yeah, the eye is really drawn away from the outside of the image. But that works because there's so much light at him. It looks like there's a spotlight. So I think that works really well. Thank you so much, man. You're going to have to teach me how to say your name because I'm sure that I've butchered it. I'm sorry for that. But thank you for being my first known Mexican viewer. I appreciate it, man. Zara, I'm guessing it's Zara Burgess from Country New South Wales in Australia. Wait, did we already do this one? No, we didn't. We definitely didn't. I remember going through it before and looking at this one. But it's got that next level of contrast. It's actually pretty smooth. I can see you've done some noise reduction there, Zara. Very contrasty. For me, the blacks are a little black, but like I said, I kind of prefer dark blacks to super washed out. But I think maybe we could dial back the contrast a little bit, just because it looks cool, and this is like a pretty heavy rock and roll band, so it definitely suits. but for a lot of other applications, this sort of thing is unflattering. But yeah, it suits. Like, you've got a few sort of dirty bearded men that have been on tour for a month and a bit at this stage, so it definitely suits. Taking a lot of the color out, interesting choice. Still some color in the skin tones. Like I mentioned about someone else's earlier, the skin tones are very good. Like, it's a yellowy, bronzy sort of color, which really, that's actually what Kyle's skin looks like. He's got quite tanned olive skin, so that works really well. Just watch those highlights because they're maybe a little blown out for my taste, but always love to see your edits, Zara, and how they progress, and I really appreciate the submission once again. Okay, these last ones, I'm not going to go through them properly because they were beyond the 15 mark and I just didn't have time. Like, the video's not long enough. But anyway, I really appreciate the submissions. I want to do you guys a quick shout out. So here we go. Paul Hessian. I think Paul was from the UK. I don't have it written down, I don't think. Anyway, thank you so much, Paul. Really cool edit with the purples. Kai Dixon was from Manchester. Vincent Shaw, who is from Brisbane, I'm pretty sure. Tim Allen, Australian living in the Netherlands. Dan Todd, Portsmouth, I'm pretty sure, in the UK. We've got Alex J. Moore, which I'm pretty sure Alex is from Wales. And Liam Davidson from Melbourne. I think, Liam, you just missed the cutoff by like half an hour. But love your work, man. Okay, and finally, this is my edit. This is what I did with the photo. So let's just remember, this is where we started with the pink. This is what I did. So I tried to, like I kind of mentioned, I like a very bright edit. I did like a little radial filter in this bit here. I tried to really brighten that bit in the back. I thought that was an interesting sort of light flare there. Tried to make the skin tones very tanned, very olive, but I still wanted to keep the really vibrant blues. So yeah, that's what I've got. Tried to keep some detail. Zoomed in close, it doesn't look too flash up, but you'll see like I've left the noise in. The noise is all kind of part of it. I totally don't mind the noise. Thank you so much for watching, and like, I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate all the submissions from all around the world. It warms the cockles of my little heart. Thank you so much. The next writer challenge, I've got a few different ideas. I'm thinking we could possibly do a mobile editing challenge, or we could do something like a black and white challenge. I also want you guys to keep submitting images, some raw files if you can, because I would love to showcase someone else's. So if you have something that you would really love to show off, let me know, send it to me by email or post it in the Facebook group. The Facebook group, by the way, I will link down below. It's the Big Pants Photo Legends Club. I'm going to be posting all of these photos up in the Legends Club for you guys to look through and examine of your own accord. I think that's it. The only thing that I'll say is go back to the start. If you are struggling with exporting your photo, I'll show you at the start of this video exactly how to do it, the correct size, because some of them were still a bit fuddy. Totally my fault. I didn't explain it properly. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and you learned something, give me a big fat thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.